So, with the NASCAR season finally getting back underway, it makes me wonder, or makes some of you wonder as well, what should we expect from NASCAR moving forward? How will the rest of the season play out? Because this season is normally not going to be a this season is not going to be a it's not your typical NASCAR season with the world being on fire and the whole pandemic going on. It's still ongoing, but NASCAR finally got the green light to get back underway with the precautionary measures, of course, and NASCAR, of course, has followed them. So I applaud them for that. I also applaud them for their work in the Pro Invitational Series and keeping the fans engaged while the whole world was on fire. They really got the leg up while the other sports were basically on lockdown. And yeah, finally, well, iRacing was good, and it feels great to finally see the real stock cars back on the racetrack. We're gonna see them on Sunday at Darlington, and that's the first thing I want to address. Separate with the pandemic basically altering the schedule, I expect these changes, number one, to be permanent, to not be permanent, to be sort of a temporary changes, because there are several tracks that lost race days, like Chicagoland, Sonoma also lost its date. Iowa lost both its Xfinity dates, and tracks like Darlington and Homestead are getting an additional date because NASCAR wants to run. NASCAR is still sticking to the plan of running as the usual 36 race schedule, and because of this, and to cut costs for teams, and to also avoid travel and exposing their drivers to risk factors of the virus and stuff like that, they're going to basically stop. They're basically going to run at tracks that are closer to the team's bases. Most of the teams are based in North Carolina, so they're gonna be running at tracks like Atlanta, Bristol, Homestead, Darlington, Daytona, Talladega, Martinsville. They're gonna be running at those tracks that are closer to home more frequently. They're gonna be running at those East Coast tracks, and that reflects on the schedule, with several races getting 2, maybe even 3 races per season, or rather 3 races this season, because this season is of course an anomaly. I really doubt these changes are gonna be implemented long term. I mean, the fans like them; they're gonna be there long term. We're also going to see shorter races. For example, this Darlington race is gonna be 400 miles long. Of course, the usual crown jewel events like the Coke 600, the Southern 500, I expect them to remain unchanged unless something extraordinary happens and this pandemic is actually more serious than we thought, and NASCAR is forced to go on lockdown again. I really hope that's not the case, but I mean, what can you do? This pandemic is just so unpredictable. The world has just been so unpredictable this past couple of months. I also expect NASCAR teams to bring less personnel. I think I saw a tweet that they read that teams were going to cut down on personnel because NASCAR said that they were gonna be only 4 crew members per team, and in the case of the engine tuners, they're going to be on the racetrack. They're going to be on the racetrack, but they're gonna be 2 per team if that's the necessity of the teams, because they can't have too many people there. They cannot like expose themselves to the virus and stuff like that. They want to cram as less people as possible. They want to have as less people as possible. Of course, those events will be held without fans, so that's another thing. I also expect the race event to be condensed, as in less practice times, and typical in typical like truck series fashion, you run the practice and qualifying during the day, and then the race, you run the race in the night time. The truck series does that all the time, or most of the time they do that, and I really expect the Cup Series to not only the Cup Series, but also the Xfinity and Truck Series to have not only less practice times. For example, for Darlington, they did a random drawing where Keselowski got the pole. So I expect them to do some random drawing sporadically at some point, but this team's gotta get some practice time. They're not gonna go in there and drive. Remember, these guys got 2 months without being on race cars. I know some of them got time on iRacing, most of them, but iRacing is not the same thing as driving a real race car. And finally, I also expect a lot of midweek races. I saw the calendar that was released through June, and I saw several midweek races, most notably a Wednesday night race at Martinsville. Usually the truck series is they're doing midweek races on Wednesday night, but with NASCAR wanting to cram 36 races as much as possible, they're gonna shorten the race length, and they're basically going to add a lot of midweek events there. And I don't know you guys, but I'm really hyped for that. And who knows, if the fans like it, maybe we can see these events being permanent in the future, being permanent mainstays in the future of the sport. So yeah,